get a little tingly oak after that just stays with you. The back of the mouth and down into the chest.
Down into the, it hits you right there in the cockle, maybe in the subcockle region, maybe in between the subcockle and the cockle region.
My cockle feels fine. It's in my throat a little more than there.
See, this is the kind of whiskey that makes my cheeks red. So I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but it's because I'm happy. It brings joy. It
I can see that from
rushes to the cheeks. Whiskey fam, sit down and grab a dram, listen to the soothing sounds of your boy Whiskey One and Nick the Fish.
How's it going?
Good, man. So we have some specialties here. Now this is a video for all you Balcoholics. If you're part of the Cult of Balcones, you know what these are all about. You probably have a bottle, but I wanted to take time to reflect and share with all of you guys that may not know a lot about Balcones whiskey, and if you come across a single barrel in your area, what to expect. And these two are very different from each other. So just know that when we're tasting, nosing, and going through them, they're gonna be very different styles of whiskey. And one in particular is a very new style of whiskey that I really hope Balcones and others start to venture into. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it is the after peated distillation. I'm gonna get into that here. So before we dive in, just a quick shout out to the Cult of Balcones, of course. You guys can find them on Facebook. So I highly encourage you guys to join. Just make sure to answer the questions that they have just before you can join. I've been hearing some folks kind of try to join and then they don't answer the questions. So it's really just a way to weed out the people that probably shouldn't be on it. Now, if you are new to the Whiskey One channel, thank you for stopping by. We really appreciate you checking us out. And if you're a return sipper, much love to you. I really appreciate all you guys that continue to support the Whiskey One channel. I know Nick does. He's part of my trash palette tier as a Patreon, which brings me to Patreons. Now, if you join our Patreon and you become a Patreon supporter, you will be getting a free Whiskey One glass to go with all your sipping ventures. So I highly encourage you to check out the Patreon page. Information will be here and linked within the video. And without further ado, let's get into it.
That trash palette is a pretty prestigious level on the Patreon site. It's for only a select group of people.
I would have to agree. It's for a select group of people. So let's get into this nose, shall we? We're gonna start with the Texas Single Malt 3AP. Let's check this out, man. Now, I know you had a bit of a sample last time you tried this, but you haven't had it straight from the bottle.
This is from the picks they sent out to do the barrel pick, right?
Yep. Absolutely. And there were a few that really stood out. I think picking the single barrel, as part of C.O.B. was a good challenge. There was a lot of different styles that we got to taste. And I'll just say that I'm really happy with what we ended up with. On the nose here, one of the first things I noticed as we were getting into it for the first time was how approachable it was, how it's not light thin, but just light bodied. It almost reminded me of walking through the spring brush, lots of orchard, lots of fruit, lots of light notes.
Getting an herbal note, kind of minty, really light. Some sugar, like a rock candy maybe kind of smell.
Dried fruits. I get a lot of dried fruits. Lots and lots. Dried peaches, nectarines, apricots.
Kind of reminds me of a redbreast nose.
Yes, redbreast has that light fruitiness to it. And for being a 3AP, which I'm about to get into, it's not as smoky. I hardly get peat smoke on the nose. It's just barely there. Really, really light. Now, for some of you guys that are into Scotch, what you'll probably notice is this may remind you a little bit of Highland Park 12. It reminded me of that because it's so light. It's not overbearing like an Islay single malt. Now 3AP, let me get into that. So 3AP means this was basically distilled the third time after a peated distillate. This is why I was telling you guys that I really hope that more brands do this, because even though you don't get a lot of peat, it's just enough to like pique your interest.
That's interesting. Do they, so some of the residue from the previous distillations will stay in? Mm-hmm. Do they normally rinse them out, or how do they change from one?
I couldn't tell you. I don't think they rinse them out. Well, I think what they do is they run a distillation just to kind of clear out probably those pipes. Now, if you guys know how they get rid of that peated like residue or the oils and some of those congeners and flavors from a peated run, let me know. I'm just gonna guess because I don't distill. I don't know for a fact. I have a feeling they just run a couple of distillations just to flush it out, and then when they're ready to do their thing and do the real deal, then they just run it. All right, so back to the nose. You getting anything else?
I think the rock candy changed a little bit. I think more saltwater taffy. I'm getting a little more of that peaty kind of notes.
You ever have ginger chews? The ginger, the dried ginger, it's got some sugar on it and a little chew. That reminds me of what's here on that nose, and a little bit of worn leather too. But it's nice.
It's a good nose.
Let's get into it. Mmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Holy
That's super
that is
sweet
good.
And fruity and bright. That's delicious.
But not peated.
It doesn't taste too. I don't get that peat flavor much.
I get the peat on the tail. Like it's on the very, very back of the palate. And it really only shows up after everything else. It's like the caboose on the train, right? You get all the main cabins, the engine and all that, and then you see that thing on the very end. That's what that peat is at. Like it's very, very subtle. So I think those of you that don't like peated whiskey, I think you're really gonna appreciate this, because it's not peated whiskey, number one. Number two, there's just a very subtle amount that's in it. I'm gonna take me another sip because this is quite enjoyable.
Kind of reminds me of that Clynelish Cask strength.
Yes.
Some similarities, because that's a lot more fruity, not a smoky peated whiskey.
So this is fruit forward to me.
Yeah.
I would agree. Like tons and tons of fruit, orchard fruit. This is an orchard bomb. Like notes of leather, tea. Some of those baking spices start to show up now with that second sip, but it is fruit forward. I would say fruit forward. I'm really enjoying it. What do you think?
It's really good. In a blind tasting, I wouldn't have picked it out as a Balcones.
Yeah, very different than the Texas single malt, right?
Yeah, it's off profile for their usual stuff, but it's really, really good. I hope they continue to venture in this area also, because I didn't get this bottle. I'm gonna have to enjoy yours. Hope you have two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to be doing some sharing because these guys are almost sold out. I believe the single malt is now officially sold out. Now, here's the kicker. If you guys want something like this or very close to the AP, right? The after peated distillation, you should go to the Balcones distillery, because although you may not find this specific bottle out there in the wild, they have one at the distillery. It's a distillery only release where they have an after peated malt or AP, and I've been hearing good things about it.
I'm sure this one is a delicious mother, and at 69 proof, also a good time.
Yeah, you know, I forgot to mention the proof on the first guy. So the first one is actually lower proof, 65.2% ABV, and it was aged for 53 months. The difference with the True Blue is that it's aged in 69 months. And this was a used American oak barrel, but the single malt was aged in an ex-used Kentucky bourbon barrel. And now it's not on the label, but because we're in the know, this was a Four Roses Kentucky bourbon barrel that it was aged in. And my experience with Four Roses is that it tends to be spicy. And certainly, you know, you get some of the spicy qualities from this single malt. But let's get into this True Blue, my friend. Cheers. All right. Oh, blackstrap molasses. Tons of thick
dark cherries,
sweetness.
some stone fruits.
Oh man. And they use blue corn in their corn whiskeys and even their, you know, their blue corn bourbons, obviously. But what I like about blue corn, and it might be a little bit of a turnoff to maybe most folks, is that it tends to be more earthy, dry, not as sweet. And certainly getting to this, there's a lot of sweetness there, but I don't know if it's coming from the blue corn or more from the barrels. But it does have a good thick layer of sweetness. Good amount of vanilla too, like vanilla custard.
Little oaky. Almost has like a sherry finish nose.
So you're getting some dark fruits out of it? Interesting. Man, that nose though.
I'm getting a little more of the alcohol on this one.
It is a little bit more alcoholic. So, you know, again, the proof 67.9%. So neither of these are slackers. They're definitely your proof bombs. So if you're a proof hound like myself, this is in your wheelhouse. You're gonna want to add a few drops of water. Just be careful. What do you think?
I think I'm ready to give it a try.
Let's do it. Cheers. Holy shit. Man, hugs the palate for sure.
Very oily.
Very, yeah.
Cherry, brown sugar, oak.
Leather, lots of leather. Lots of leather,
Leather and
lots of
tobacco.
Tobacco. I get coffee grinds. Do you get coffee grinds? Like after it's been spent? Just sitting there.
I usually don't eat my old coffee grinds.
You don't eat your? I eat my coffee grinds as soon as I'm done with my coffee. Sometimes with my coffee. God, man, that finish is still lingering. It's warming. It's inviting, and for being high proof, I wouldn't say that it drinks hot. I'm not feeling like it drinks hot. Not to me.
It's hot. You can tell, but not in an offensive way. There's no burn in the mouth. No, there's like a warming down the throat. But it's
yeah.
And you could feel a little tingly on the tongue, but nothing. I've had some stuff that the burn was offensive, like blocked the flavors and you can't even enjoy what you're tasting, and this is not that.
Loads and loads of baking spices though. You get cloves, you get cinnamon, even some cumin. And then the earthiness of it. The body of it just feels earthy, but a good amount of like that dark blackstrap molasses and some black tea. It just all around an earthy whiskey.
Get a little tingly oak after that, just stays with you. The back of the mouth and
I'd say so.
Down into the chest a little
down
bit.
Into the it hits you right there in the cockle, maybe in the subcockle region. You know, maybe in between the subcockle and the cockle region.
My cockle feels fine. It's in my throat a little more than there.
I got you. That's good to know. It's good to know. See, this is the kind of whiskey that makes my cheeks red. So I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but and it's because I'm happy. It brings joy. It's the redness, the flushness of the joy.
I can see that from
rushes to the cheeks. This is good stuff.
My joy don't show as much, but I have joy also.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it. Golly. Now, the finish is really, really long. You know, they're not just like proof bombs, just to be proof bombs. When you taste Balcones, you almost get a distinct seasoned oak funk, right? And I could probably pick out a Balcones in a blind lineup any old day of the week. And
These
it's that funk
sure, that one.
Yeah, this one for sure, right?
Yeah.
This one might be a little tricky. I feel like I still get the seasoned oak. It's going to be able to stand up to a good steak, a good hearty meal. Man, this is Texas through and through. When I think of Texas, big, bold, right? This is Texas through and through. But I think if you're into that and you want to have some adventure in your life, these are the types of whiskeys that you want to get. I'm a big fan of their peated single malt anyway. Just amazing stuff. But you don't get those big smoky flavors out of this. This is really light.
Yeah, I definitely suggest finding these bottles or a friend that has them already so you could get a chance to try them.
It pays to have good friends that have good whiskey. I'll just say that. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. If you guys have stuck around this far, we really appreciate you and appreciate you supporting the channel. Leave a comment below if you've had these or if you have anything similar to these or any Balcones that you would like to talk about. Share your thoughts. Drop a comment in the video below. And here at Whiskey One, it's about the one you enjoy. Cheers. I'd have a few bottles of Balcones, wouldn't you say?
You got a load of Balcones.
100%.
Mm-hmm.